Look, Capilot, bitch. Ha. Smooth criminal, Mike Jack. And I still like to toe the 4-5 like Mike back. Pull that tank out just to make a statement. He gon' need a body bag or a nice sack. He a bitch, he a fold under pressure. I can tell from his posture, man, he ain't really like that. Mama told me I don't care if you scared. Go in for the kill. If they try, you better fight back. We'll beat his ass if he try to throw the folks up. What's all that shit you was saying like you was so tough? They gon' have to carry your mans if he approach us. Creeping in that glizzy of blam when we get close up. Rich ass gangster, my gun match the color of my car. Any sudden movement in this bitch go far, far. Bet I have him hug and I law. I'm the GOAT, I'm a thug, I'm a star. Youngin' tryna clear a crowd with the heat. When you run, better keep it 40 cal by the seat. He was banging wrong till they found him deceased. There's a whole lot of evil women around in the streets. So you better look both ways, make your soul shake. Demons standing in the doorway. Tell me, honey, are you okay? Screaming out, no way. Tell me, honey, are you okay? Still on that bullshit, MJ. Really one of the hottest and I never dropped a mixtape. All my life had to risk take. But if they come and try me, 40 kick it till my wrist break. Let anybody in this bitch play. I'ma have my C's leave his ass in the ground with a stiff face. Where I'm from, all the killers turn hood legend. And they known through them blocks like the Kimbe. Told on something bigger than the Great Khali. 30 shots and knock him down like Muhammad Ali. Do the race, scratch off in the track off G. Catch him lacking, then it's R.I.P. Bitch. They ain't tryna clear a crowd with the heat. When you run, better keep it 40 cal by the seat. He was banging wrong till they found him deceased. There's a whole lot of evil women around in the streets. So you better look both ways, make your soul shake. Demons standing in the doorway.
Yeah.
He's doing all girls.
Spotlight, moonlight. Nigga, why you tripping? Get your Mariah. Shorty look good in the moonlight. All these pussy niggas so bad, mine. Spotlight, moonlight. Nigga, why you tripping? Get your Mariah. Shorty look good in the moonlight. All these pussy niggas so bad, mine. Spotlight, moonlight. Nigga, why you tripping? Get your Mariah. Shorty look good in the moonlight. All these pussy niggas so bad, mine. Moonlight, moonlight. Nigga, why you tripping? Get your Mariah. Shorty look good in the moonlight. All these pussy niggas so bad, mine. Feel like I'm destined. I don't need no smoking rest, no. Who are you testing? Focus on here's your list, no. Life ain't testing. Take your shots and roll your breath, no. Feel like I'm damn man.
I'll just stole your video right now.
I mean, I.
What the?
Oh.
You can only use it until you make like 125 a year.
All these pussy niggas so bad, mine. Spotlight.
Push a P. Yeah, push a P. Turn me up. Turn me up, P. Pointers in the paddock in my piece. I'm push a P.
Cop new hammers for my P. We don't want no peace.
Got a spot across the spot. Jeff for peace.
Drop the data, now we plotting. Deciding peace. She not a lesbian for peace. She turned lesbian. Push a P.
I'm push a P. On capital P, I write the president, count president.
Push a P. Portuguese on her knees, mopping down a P.
She let me squeeze and she leave cause she keep P.
Privacy, privacy, bitch, I'm pushing P.
Let's just kind of go back to them for just a little bit here. We have a little bit of time, and I want to kind of dive into what we can expect from this duo in particular. You know, they do have this llama split, like you called. We're not going to name it anything crazy. We'll just keep it llama for now, but talk to me about this duo.
I mean, pick and honest, they do struggle. I mean, these are guys that don't really frag out in the late game. If you take a look at their open space, 371st, just by the skin of their teeth, they qualified for semifinals, and now to the finals, they did make it in pretty easily. But I mean, these guys, they play high, they play passively. But you know, if you end up seeing them with a 2 elimination win, don't be surprised if that's just the race out.
Well, on top of that, it's like they can get things around, they can win games in the 3 cash cups that you managed to make around 2. They won 2 games in 2 of those, so they won 4 games out of the 3 kind of ones that they made. So huge potential to win games. So, but again, like you know, it's not going to be a 10 elimination win. Usually they're down to 3s in the 4 like for these guys trying to get up into like the first place, it's tough. But every time they get into the lobby, they're in the top 10. So it's like top 8 here qualifies. So like these guys definitely have a huge potential too. But it's like can they get first? They have to play their A game. Yeah, it's about evolving with the times, right? Keeping up with the meta as it develops. So we'll have to see. We're getting closer though. Closer to jumping aboard that battle bus really quick. Let's touch on predictions, right? Which of these duos we think could end the day in one of those top 8 spots. Now remember, because of trios, now we're changing it up. Duos means we're looking at your top 8. I've gone with Aqua and O'Reilly. I will always be a fan of Aqua. I will still think back to the summer skirmish when he decided to shockwave down and get a victory royale, and that will always be in my heart. Priest Hub, Hen, and Easy.
Yes. Great team. Fantastic team. And you know what's even better is that they are on a tear this week. They won the Cash Cup. They came second on NA East. Haha, look at that. They've been playing so good so far this week in particular. And obviously the whole season, third-party tournaments, Cash Cup, whatever it is, they're doing well. They have a great draw spot on the north side of Switch down. They seem to have it on complete lockdown. We'll see if that actually through today or not. But generally, like, these guys are such a good pick to win.
with a couple racks, I lost them all and got
them back. They grip my homie cause the other side was working with the
Yeah,
fed.
I mean, I love my Polish boys. I mean, Cammy Sedity, they were one of my favorite trios. And I was saying that on duos, Cammy Teague, they're just so ridiculously consistent. There's nothing more to say about that. If you take a look at the matches, and that's just the name of the place now. They're there in late game, mid-ground, dragging out.
And also, let's be real shy on Levin. You already talked about why they're so good. Would it be an emphasis broadcast about Levin hyping up Tayson? Like, I don't think so. I don't think plenty of it throughout the next 6 games.
It always happens, right? It's always like he jumps on the train, then he's like, you know what? No, Tayson's not doing well, then it's literally the next game where Levin decides to say, look, Tayson, I don't think you're doing well, man, and then bam, Tayson's like, okay, Levin, my bad, I've been playing around the whole time, let me go ahead and get a victory out, and then that's when Levin's come full circle, he's like, yeah, I never let Tayson lose. Tayson's not good, I get it happen. But you know what? It's about that time.
There's no MC Hammer shit. Always about my low, some more I'm linking up with my savages. Think twice before you run up, all my gunners get to clapping shit. Sundown to the sun up, pick a gun up, who you riding with? You would think the block of barbershops the way we line shit. Can't wait for the summer, Glocks and drums, we got all kind of shit. Marlon nigga, he don't got it all, he gets his spazzy quick.
My name is Shy Wager, joined by the legend Levin 2K, and Levin, the atmosphere, the pressure for these players around this first qualifier is at an all-time high.
Yeah, it's high indeed, but you know what they say, pressure makes diamonds or it bursts pipes, and we'll see what these players are today. Look, I'm excited. I can't believe that Boot thinks he's the most handsome person in the podcast. I don't know where that's come from. Relax.
Smooth criminal, Mike Jack, and I still like to throw the 4-5 like Mike back. Pull that tank out just to make a statement. He gon' need a body bag or a nice sack. He a bitch, he a fold on the pressure. I can tell from his pops, man, he ain't really like that. Mama told me I don't care if you scared, go there for the kill. If they try, you better fight back.
Yeah, the last round was so different for a lot of players as well, right? One less hour of
they gon' have to carry your man if he approach us. Creeping in that glizzy of blam when we get closer. Rich ass gangsta, my gun match the color of my cop. Any sudden movement, this bitch gon' fly. Bet I have him hugging, I'm the GOAT, I'm a thug, I'm a stop. Young tryna clear the crowd with the heat. When you ride, better keep it 40 cal by the seat. He was banging wrong till they found him. The cheese is a whole lot of evil women around in the streets. So you better look both ways, make your soul shake. Demon standing in the doorway. Tell me, honey, are you okay? Screaming out, no way. Tell me, honey, are you okay? Still on that bullshit, MJ. Really one of the hottest, and I never dropped a mixtape. All my life had to risk take. But if they come and try me, 40 kick it to my wrist break. Let anybody in this bitch play. I'ma have my C's leave his ass in the ground with the stiff face. Where I'm from, all the killers turn hood legends. And they known through the blocks like the Kimbe. Holding on something bigger than the Greg Khali. 30 shots and knock him down like Muhammad Ali. Do the race, scratch off in the track off G. Catch him lacking, then it's RIP. Bitch, they ain't tryna clear the crowd with the heat. When you ride, better keep it 40 cal by the seat. He was banging wrong till they found him. The seats is a whole lot of evil women around in the streets. So you better look both ways, make your soul shake. Demon standing in the doorway. Tell me, honey, are you okay? Screaming out, no way. Tell me, honey, are you okay?
In terms of expectations, predictions for both of us, I mean, I think we can count it down for 3, 2, 1, and do it together. 1, 2, 3, boom. You know what I'm saying? All right, you went the wrong way. It's all good. We fused together to go for Thomas and Tayson. The desk talked about it a bit. You can highlight it a little bit. Why do you like Tayson so much, Levin? Why is it always all in for you?
I'll be real with you. This season so far, Tayson Thomas hasn't been the most impressive for them so far, right? Questions about their work ethic, questions about whether they are still two of the best players in the region. But the problem is with these guys is that they have Fortnite mastered, right? When it comes to the fundamentals of the game, they have that down to a T. And then when it comes to just being able to adapt to new metas, it's like this for them, man. It gets so easy. Anytime we're having a conversation about who are the best players in the game, their names will always come up. They've done really well in previous competitions.
Cause we fuck on the low, and I get about 12 or a key. If a nigga playing chess, I'm king. My niggas riding with Berettas, fuck a steam. You know I'm popping every little team. Got a lot of these.
Absolutely, and we've been watching
got a lot of hundreds
throughout the whole last 12 months of Fortnite, even past that.
With a lot of money.
Now it's all about teammates.
You know Bird lounging by the pool. You know Dabo coming with the woo. I think Kifa just bought some new sneakers. 5,000 them bitches brand new. I was riding on the jet with Lil Sadie. He my little bro, but that nigga heavy. I spent 25,000 on the titties. They took her ass fat right out of belly. I want some diamonds, I want some big Eliante calling every time I'm ready. Off a couple bars, I don't need a minute. If I did it, then I meant it, then I said it. The way how I kept the heat. Since she squirted, it got wet on the seat. I got it spurted like a met on the meat. Felt like I buy another safe every week. Fabio said she a wedding. I was sitting at the trap house, whipping shit out the crocker like Betty. All a nigga need about 10 racks here, pop you if you pop a 30.
verdict.
That's why Taysom and Thomas
Flew my bitch out from Thailand. She do the most. My niggas hot like some cayenne. Sitting in your throat. They spend $250,000 in a private just for the show. Shawty gon' call a nigga your highness, cause we fuck on the low. And I get about 12 for a key. If a nigga playing chess, I'm king. My niggas riding with Berettas for the steam. You know I'm popping every little team. Got a lot of these. Got a lot of hundreds. Thought about it, bitch.
Same game.
With a lot of money.
It's game number 1.
Hey, if I got the time, fuck her like a minute. Open up a tonsils like she had the dentist. Writing checks, had to work on my penmanship. What you got? I spend more on the fit, I spend more on my bitch. 20 bitches on top of the Ritz. Got the store, you should copy some kicks. We getting money, hooray, hooray, hooray. Having Dodie on Dodie, ain't talking no stimulus. We went to war for this shit. When you stacking up paper on paper on paper, you gon' need some more of this shit. Living prototype, they gon' copy a nigga. I done spent some M's on my property, nigga. Got rich off the box, I box me a nigga.
You have to be on
Flew my bitch out from Thailand. She do the most. My niggas hot like some cayenne. Sitting in your throat. They spend $250,000 in a private just for the show. Shawty gon' call a nigga your highness, so we fuck on the low. And I get about 12 for a key. If a nigga playing chess, I'm king. My niggas riding with Berettas for the steam. You know I'm popping every little team. Got a lot of these. Got a lot of hundreds. Gonna buy the bitch with a lot of money.
Yeah, and the destiny is formed by relationships, and when you look at relationships between teams, it's my favorite part of the FNCS, the beef, Levin. The beef. I love the off-spawn combat. I love, just the stories throughout the season, and I feel like, Boop and Reese touched on it a little bit with Zeke too. Cobra Cavern overall, that's where things are about to get super heated. Launch pads, guaranteed to have no problems for your entire game, available over there, but 3 God Squads ready to go there too.
Yeah, and I think the dynamics between the way those fights play out will just be so mesmerizing all day long. Because, like you said, sometimes you get teams contesting out these big spots, but sometimes you get a clear and obvious sort of distinction between the teams, right? You got one team there, tier 2 team, a team that's sort of in the middle between them. Every day they copy me, red alert, I'm the dangerous, I keep that clock and they ain't looking for no trouble. I'm just looking out for me, cause I done did shit the niggas ain't talking about no rap.
Towards the game starting, right now we're going back to the desk. I got a little bit more to talk about before we get into that first game.
Shit that happened late in December, I bring that winter heat. Niggas down the
Appreciate you, Shy Wager, and of course, 11-2K. We're about to jump into game 1. Apparently, people weren't ready. They just weren't getting tested battle bus. Things happen. It's okay. We're going to run this back. We're going to make sure everyone's accounted for on that battle bus.
2011, August 11, RIPO, August 9th.
And I feel like that these guys are kind of talking about the duos, the strategies to kind of prepare. So, let's kind of talk about the new mechanics here as we're kind of warming up the bus. How much of this new loophole, these new mechanics in games, you guys think will kind of play a factor? I think, Reese, you recently made a video on, sliding, for example, right? And if you just kind of, looked at it at a glance, you'd be like, sliding, okay, it's, the same as walking, question mark? But it's not exactly, is it?
No, so sliding is a mechanic that I thought was going to be more utilized, and I think now is still completely underutilized when it comes to fighting specifically. So right now, if you start sliding down a slope, you're going to get increased movement speed. If you slide on flat ground, by the way, no increased movement speed. It just looks cool. That's about the height of it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it can throw people off. But what I really was hoping for, though, was that people would end up using it in fights. They'd find good ways to phase into boxes, like I have. By the way, if you just slide and shoot a wall at the exact right time, you're going to phase straight into that person's box. Not seen it happen yet. If you come off of a launch pad, slide when you land, phase through someone's wall, you can go straight into their box. If someone does this, by the way, in a tournament, tag me on Twitter, because I've yet to see it in the 2 months this season's been out, and I said it when it came out. I was like, someone do this play, hit off a launch pad, slide, spray into someone's box, and pick them and leave it.
I mean, there's Reese trying to farm Twitter followers again, but let's move on from that. I mean, I think sliding was... I think we all thought it was going to bring up the mechanical level of play even higher. I mean, there's a few people that have been practicing it. Vidil being one of them. He's been in the creative lobby, trying to crank it out. Seti, also one of those guys that have been, putting in the hours, as a main top of last trios. Now in duos as well, he's been putting in the hours to practice those sliding. If you definitely want to see that, then you should focus on those guys. But, I don't think it's had the impact that we thought it would have. But it's a pretty cool mechanic, and I'm excited to see how, you can sort of cut off people on mid ground and low ground with that mechanic now.
I still think yet. There's still time. That's
the
one
key
of those
word.
things, but it's like...
Someone's going to figure it out.
Someone will figure out how to use it in fights, how to throw people off, because at the start of chapter 1, when people building editing, people were
starting where, you know, like me and Zeke now, right? We're at that level. And then when the time has passed, people have gotten sufficiently better, obviously, incredibly proficient at it. And I think sliding's going to be the same thing. It's a new mechanic. This chapter and this season just starting. Over this chapter, I think we're going to see an evolution that people get extremely proficient with it.
Yeah, I think that especially like kind of you're saying, right, with chapter 3 season 1 hitting, there's a brand new map that you kind of have to like forget everything from previous like chapter 2, right? You have to just kind of wipe that away from your memory and say like, I have to learn all of these new areas, these new POIs, these new rotational patterns, where people can be, loot chests, like all this new stuff, right? So I think we haven't seen sliding quite yet come online, but I do have faith, right? Like I do think once one person does it, kind of like to your point, Reese, everyone else will see to go, oh, like yeah, sorry about that. Like I was trying to really learn my drop spot and make sure that I didn't lose here, but I'm gonna start doing that at my drop spot, and then I definitely won't lose. You know, we'll see. We'll have to see. Now, really quickly, I just wanted to touch on the prize pool here in Chapter 3, Season 1. Now, remember, this is the prize pool going into the finals, so 2 weeks from now. Take a look at this prize pool out of Europe. $1.3 million. Just round it up. NA East, I mean, Brazil, NA West, Asia, Middle East, OCE. This is a global competition, boys, and this is a lot of prize money here in Europe.
Yeah, a lot of moolah, a lot of dosh, getting dashed out. And obviously, remember, this is just specifically for the final. So right now, the top 8 teams that qualify through will get to play for this prize pool in the finals. That's what we're looking at once we eventually get these obviously these queuing issues sorted and we're into game. That is what you're going to be looking at in the leaderboard. The top 8 will get to play for this in 2 weeks' time.
Yep, and that is definitely what you want to do, because the new semi-final system and the heat system is so tough to get through. I mean, that is a lot of money just to be playing for, and you don't want to risk it playing the heat system because it's a little bit RNG for you, so you got to be careful.
Yeah, placing in that top 8, right? Like, if you can start just this first qualifier and hit that top 8 and just guarantee that you're going to finals, you're at least, like, locking in some amount of prize money, right? You're going to get some amount finals, and then you have to start thinking about strategies and how you can aim for the top spot. Now, of course, as I like to talk about a lot, you don't even need to win, right? Just coming in like top 5, you're going to see a massive jump in prize money, and that's going to get you a brand new PC, a brand new car, a brand new chair, lots of brand new things, all the snacks you could ever desire. I mean, there's a lot to play for. Now, guys, I want to toss to this real quick. I'm going to talk about a brand new POI that came back recently. Was recently frosted. You know, it's Tilted Towers. Have you guys heard of Tilted Towers, Reese?
Never. This is a new POI to me. I've never heard of this place. 6 POI, honestly. Like, center map, it has I think the highest amount of chests total, so 57 chests in here, 198 floor spawns, tons of slurp barrels. Basically, it's everything you need. One of the most important parts of it is there's 20 safes, which is kind of crazy, but I mean, most of the time there's not as big of utilization for gold unless you're going to Greasy, but 32 produce boxes. This is what's really important, so you can always get a ton of peppers. Because there's just so much loot, like, teams are usually able to split this really well. Zipfil's go here alongside Benji and Mr. Savage, who unfortunately haven't managed to make it here today, so we'll have to see who ends up qualifying through. Just quickly looking at the map, it seems to be Resac Liam, which obviously I'm a big fan of. Appears to be going there when I look at the drop map, so great POI.
I mean, it's a little bit of a tough spot, though, to play at, especially when you have this many people landing in there. I mean, it's so open. You're sort of dived in within that spot. It's a big horde. It's basically very similar to Daily Bugle, I would say. There's a lot of POIs nearby. There's people that can third-party it for free, and you just got to be a little bit careful. So I'm expecting a lot of these guys to be splitting Tilted a lot of the time. You have so much loot, like he's mentioned, that you don't need to be fighting. I mean, that's what I'm saying every single time. Everyone should just split the spot. We should have 99 people surge. Oh, sorry, 100 people surge. And then my heart will be happy.
I mean, that would be cool. That would be sick. But I think you nailed on a really important point there, was the fact that people can rotate in early, right? There's like the loot lake up above it, which has a ton of teams land there right now.
Yeah.
We've got 3 teams, and there's the 7 outpost that's up to the northeast that has the rifts in it. I think Stena and Raid are landing there. So if they're smart, they can loot that quickly. They can rotate through to the hills that are on the outside and just get some really easy sturge tags. Just bang, bang, bang on all the players. With the 3 teams assumed to be landing in Tilted right now.
Yeah, super enticing POI. I just avoid it, man. For me, it's too high skill. I will just absolutely get bodied. It's not even competition. I'm just a walking 50 pot. I just don't even go there. I do like the big change that we have seen from Chapter 3 Season 1 is that there's a lot more map space available, right? We kind of saw this in Chapter 2. A lot more trios at that time felt like they had to go to these named POIs, right? If they really wanted to secure a proper split, they had to kind of make these higher risk, high reward plays. But with this new map, it's way more open. There's a lot of these little houses, these little loot paths all around the map where you can just land and you can just say like, okay, I know this, like this is us right here. And at minimum, I know I can open a handful of chests and then we can start kind of coming up with a plan with what's next. Is there any that you guys have that are like, you think might be slept on? Maybe you're like, yo, this one place is real good.
I mean, obviously, firstly, the Kemi split that we mentioned earlier, where Kemi and Tikar in the puddle pond right in the center of the map. That spot is absolutely fantastic. Funnily enough, it's difficult to name exactly where these are because they're split, right? They cover such a huge amount of area. But one team who's been doing really well in a split is Lucia and Fury, who's been doing really well in the 7 outpost that's just to the southwest of Greasy Grove. They managed, I think it was like 3rd or 4th in the previous